So BYU improves to a perfect 4-0 with a 41-33 victory over Virginia. Time of possession was outrageously favoring Virginia. 40 minutes they held onto the ball. That kind of plays out sometimes with this go fast, go hard offense. But the 350, 250 yards that they outgained BYU was really shocking to me.
Yeah.
I was surprised BYU was able to score and be as efficient, being outgained and out-timed.
Well, you saw the only way that they were able to really score was get big plays. Something that they really hadn't had all season long were these big chunks. You saw the 50-yard touchdown to Mitchell Juergens.
Right.
You had the big play to Devon Blackman that also opened up scoring for them. And this is something that they'd been kind of lacking earlier in the season, but it was their most anemic that they've been on offense all season long. The least amount of yards that they'd gained on the ground and through the air. And this was, it felt weird to score 41 points. Now, a lot of that was in part to some field goal kicking, and Trevor Sampson has stepped up. And then, of course, the 99-yard touchdown return by Adam Hine that really just made the game, because that was crucial. It's not, oftentimes you see a play like that and it doesn't make as big of an impact, but that actually probably wrapped the game up for BYU. It ended up being kind of the game winner.
And Virginia, every time BYU stretched that lead to 15 points, they would answer with another touchdown. So they just became more and more important. And were you as shocked as I was when Adam Hine was blasting past everybody that there were no yellow hankies?
Yeah, I mean, immediately you look back on the field, and after each
before
play,
he's even done,
you don't even because how many times has it happened in his career? A couple of times where he's had him called back, but to see the 99-yard return for him was an amazing deal. But it also speaks to kind of how the defense, and Bronco spoke to it in postgame. He did not like the execution by the defense. Yeah. And he said it from snap one. They didn't have an edge. They did not have the execution, and they were not playing as hard as they could have been. And that's an indictment when your head coach, who is a defensive guy, tells you you're not playing hard enough as a defense.
And interesting that Bronco brought up the fact that it was an afternoon game that made it really difficult to kind of get in a rhythm and get into a flow. Yeah. This is when college football's played, except for the fact that it's never played in the afternoons on Saturday anymore.
Well, and you should. I mean, the fans, they were all here decked out in the white, and it was a great atmosphere. In Virginia, they play afternoon games on Saturdays. Yeah. This is kind of what they do. And to say, hey, we like to play in the evenings a little bit more, that's one way to do it. But really, you had a lack of offensive production, and you still had 41 points. Yeah. And you still win a game, and you're still 4-0. And these last couple weeks haven't been pretty, and the penalties are just annoying if you're a coach. And if you're a fan, you watch these plays, and you see these dumb penalties. They're boneheaded, they're dumb, they're ridiculous, however you want to put it. The coaches don't like them. The fans look at them and go, why did you just do that? Right. I mean, they didn't have to happen, and they take away. When you give another team 100-plus yards of penalty yardage, I mean, you're handing them offense, too, on top of the 520 yards that they already gained on the ground. Well, between the air and the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That was what kind of stood out to me, is you add up passing yardage, which was a ton, rushing yardage, and penalties, 650, 700 yards. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that BYU was able to win, especially when they lost Jordan Leslie with an ankle injury, some nicks and bumps and bruises. Kind of plays out perfectly for the bye week. BYU now has a week to rest until they play Utah State here at LaVelle Edwards Stadium on Friday, one of those pre-conference games. So BYU 4-0, looking to move up in the polls. They certainly didn't hurt their cause. Virginia's a pretty solid team. Not an easy win, but a convincing win nevertheless. So for Alex Carey, I'm Dave Noriega for Cougar Sports Saturday.